You guys might have noticed that I haven't been covering a lot of topics that it would seem like I should cover. A few things have passed by us, and I'm sure you've noticed by now that I'm not putting energy into certain things. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm really going to go with my gut on this from now on about whether or not I put energy into a topic, because prior to this, I would put energy into topics that my gut was telling me not to because it was the popular topic, and because my opinion on the topic was still, maybe different or counter to the common narrative enough to where I felt like it maybe needed to be heard, but mostly it was just second guessing my gut because it was the popular topic. I'm not getting that kind of everyday success with this channel to where I should be chasing the topic of the day. I feel more comfortable not doing that, so that's how we're going to do it. I'm still going to cover topics that are going to be relevant, but things that just strike me as a giant waste of time, I'm going to be treating them that way. The building collapse in Miami, I don't know what to tell you guys other than my gut is telling me not to look at that. I've seen some videos where there's some flashes. I think the flashes could very likely just be power cables snapping as the building falls away. Could be a giant sinkhole. Could be the fact that nobody did anything for the buildings. It could be something wild. Could be John McAfee's servers for his dead man switch were stored in an apartment in that building. It could be all of that or none of it. But what I'm saying is that from here on out, I'll be going with my gut when it tells me, don't put a lot of energy into that. Something that is worth putting a lot of energy into is this. The key witness in the Assange case admits to lies in his indictment. A major witness in the United States Department of Justice case against Julian Assange has admitted to fabricating key accusations in the indictment against the Wikileaks founder. What they mean by key accusations is all of them. Everything that man said that connected his horrible, evil deeds to Julian Assange and Wikileaks was a lie. I will link this article below the pinned comment in the comment section, and you guys can read through the entirety yourselves. Suffice it to say, the United States government is basing its indictment off of this man, who is the linchpin of their investigation. And it turns out that the FBI, like it has so often done, ends up to have been doing some very shady stuff with this guy who became an FBI informant for them. It's worth mentioning that the FBI seems to have its dirty, grimy little hands in nearly everything that goes wrong in this world. It is so obvious for anybody who's done any amount of research ever into the shootings that happen in this country and how often they have been in contact with FBI agents, the bombings in this country and how often they were in contact with FBI agents, the assassinations in this country and how often those people committing those assassinations were in contact with government agents. You guys, the FBI has its grimy little hands in everything that goes wrong and makes it across the mainstream media. They are the enforcement arm of a mob. The government bureaucracy that never leaves and never sleeps in D.C. and Virginia, they are a mafia, and the FBI is the enforcement arm for them. That's why they'll do things like take in information, like when they got the Hunter Biden laptop, and squash it and make it disappear. Take in information and use it against people and leverage them, like they did with Hillary Clinton and her emails. It is the bureaucracy that needs to be stamped out in this country. And the people are going to get there eventually, but in the meantime, now is definitely, again, another time to be screaming from the rooftops that it's time to free Julian Assange. This indictment is complete bunk. It reads like the obvious methodology that the FBI has been using to entrap American citizens since its inception. The United States government's indictment on why they're justifying Julian Assange being extradited to the United States of America is completely destroyed with this government witness as the linchpin in their indictment. Never mind the guy is a general piece of crap and a horrible individual who stole from WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, okay? The man stole from WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. No friend to Julian Assange. Right? Never mind that. He's admitting publicly that he lied in the indictment in order to connect the things that he did to Julian Assange. And that is why the FBI showed up at this man's doorstep and has been so willing to, number one, defend this criminal individual against the authorities in Iceland, but also to help this individual fabricate ways in which he was connected to Julian Assange. And they also used him to try to attach Julian Assange to the Bradley Manning leaks, which I'm not going to relitigate the Julian Assange case. We've talked about it on channel before. The last video I made about it was one of the videos that disappeared in my last group of videos I had removed from my channel. But we've talked about Julian Assange, his case specifically, and this is just yet another accusation against Julian Assange that is going to fall away. Another accusation from another government that had nothing to do with the previous one, right? The previous one turned out to be complete BS. This one's turning out to be complete BS. At the end of the day, everybody in the world knows what Julian Assange did wrong. He spoke truth to power, and he's being held in prison because of that. Now, let me tell you guys something. There's a symbiotic relationship to people who speak truth to power and the people that they do it on behalf of. There's this unspoken rule that not everybody in the group has to speak truth to power. And thank God, because most people don't have the balls to speak the truth to the people that they know in their everyday lives, more or less stand up and speak truth to power in front of everybody. But the unspoken rule is if somebody does do that, we're supposed to get that individual's back. Throughout history, you can see when people spoke truth to power and the people they were doing it on behalf of did not have their back. Those people in those time periods, and I'm not going to give examples, you can think of many, where the people who were speaking the truth to power on behalf of the society at that time were so much better than the society in general that they ended up assassinated. We are on the precipice of being that generation ourselves. And guys, we can be better than that. We can be a generation who steps in and says, no, the people who speak truth to power in our society, we protect them as a group. We still have that chance. There have been a lot of examples in my short lifetime where we have failed people who have spoke truth to power. But in Julian Assange, we have a chance to say something. He should not be extradited to the United States of America. And this is just another reason why. Just another reason in a long list of reasons why he should not be extradited to the United States of America. We need to put, as American citizens, we need to be putting some serious thought into what we're going to do about the overreach that's happening with the law enforcement arm of our bureaucracy. And let me tell you guys, as Julian Assange goes, so goes the truth and freedom movement. Because if we won't go to bat for this man, then we don't deserve him. Because of the failure of this indictment, because there are a lot of politicians in the United Kingdom who are actually questioning why Assange should be extradited to the United States of America, because the world is kind of listening to each other right now, the people, now is the time to say, hey, you need to free Julian Assange. You guys, they need to free Julian Assange. This is the worst black mark on Donald Trump's presidency that there was. And there were a few. He did a lot that he said he was going to do, but let me tell you something. This and his utter failure to defend conservatives and progressives from internet censorship, which is hilarious because it affected him personally. Normally, you can't get people to pay attention to something until it affects them personally. Trump, you couldn't get him to pay attention to the thing that affected him personally, but whatever. It was his failure. I won't call it a Biden failure because I don't expect Biden to do it. But it needs to happen. There's been, Unity for Jay and the Free Julian Assange movement. They have done amazing work at keeping the flame going. The keepers of the flame. We need to let the power structure know that Julian Assange needs to be freed. Because if he's not, then he will be the next one on the list. And guys, they'll keep going down the list. Are we just going to, keep making so-and-so didn't kill themselves hashtags? Is that what we're going to do? And it's going to start out with Epstein didn't kill himself, right? Because Epstein always starts with the people nobody wants to defend, right? It's just a different attack on society. Of course, no one gives a shit that Epstein didn't kill himself. And then it moves from Epstein, now we're at John McAfee. Well, some people care, but the vast majority of people, they don't care that John McAfee killed himself. The next person will be somebody even more well-liked in society, but someone that the majority of people still dislike. And then the next one will be somebody who is 50-50. And then they'll just start killing people that society loves. You guys, it's the slow march to tyranny. It's the same thing as when they all kicked Alex Jones off the internet. It's just not kicking people off the internet. It's literally deleting them out of existence. Of course they started with Jeffrey Epstein because it benefited all of them because they were all in trouble with that. And also, nobody gives a crap. Good, I'm glad he's dead. That's how it starts. You understand? And now it's moving to McAfee, who is like, if you're going to make a popularity scale, it's like 75% people don't understand why 25% of people really like the guy. It's the perfect next step after Epstein. You guys, they will work straight up until they're assassinating the Martin Luther Kings of our day. And right now, Julian Assange is in the hot seat. He's in danger. And if we allow this to happen to Julian Assange, then we really didn't ever deserve him. Europe should not extradite those accused of nonviolent crimes to a court system so unfair and prison system so cruel that native-born defendants would rather die than become subject to it. Julian Assange could be next. Until the system is reformed, a moratorium should remain. Now, say what you want about Edward Snowden, and trust me, people do. And a lot of what people say negative about him, I understand. But he's right here, and he's right a lot. You know, people get mad when I say that. Jeremy Corbyn, among 24 MPs, urging Joe Biden to stop the Julian Assange extradition bid. This is what I was talking about, because they wrote a letter to Joe Biden after the G7 summit and said that dropping the prosecution of Julian Assange would be a clarion call for freedom. This is happening at the same time as the information about the liar that is used against him as an informant in his indictment. Now is the time to pressure this pivot point right here. Julian Assange needs to be freed, and it would be a clarion call for freedom. I'll put the links to these stories down below, guys. Well, I got more content coming in the next few days. Like, share, and subscribe this episode, guys. All right, y'all.